Dr. James, can you tell us about the importance of the awareness of trauma within Black coaches and athletes?
I think it's important, right? Especially when you're looking at the day and age right now. You're talking about that many players set out a large goal for themselves. Most players that play football set out a goal to be in the NFL. Players that play basketball set out a goal to be in the NBA. That's what AAU is for. That's what Little League football is for. But the reality is that a very slim margin and percentage of those people actually make it. What we like to do is we're looking at what has happened over the last 3 years. We have seen a tripling of percentage of young men and young women that are committing suicide that are student athletes. And what we're trying to do at the Urban Trauma Healing Institute is take a deeper dive of what's really going on. That's why today we are here at the CIAA Media Day. That is why in a couple of weeks we'll be on FAM Year, Florida A&M University, on Bethune-Cookman, and at Waters, because we want to get a little bit deeper in the conversation of what's really happening with our student athletes, how the trauma is really hurting their mental composition and their ability to be able to cope with the pressures of being a student athlete.
How could coaches and students better identify what's bothering them or the trauma that they deal with?
Here's the key thing, Mr. Peterson. Hurt people can't heal people. As a former head college coach, I remember coming to things like this, and it was almost like I was playing a game. It's almost like I was coaching through a game. Everybody was my competition. Everybody was going against me. I was going against everybody. But the mentality had to shift. It had to shift from adversary to network. It had to shift from individuality to teamwork. And what we're trying to do is, it's about shifting the coach's mind. We're going to have an opportunity to speak to the coaches too. And it's going to hit them because they've all come in here with the macho bravado of wearing the shirt. I'm from Virginia River, I'm from Elizabeth City, I'm from Winston-Salem. And the first thing that I'm going to tell them is none of our race. It's not about where you're from, it's where your mind is aimed. And many people, their mind is shifting. So the healers who are the coaches, if we're not healed, they can't do anything but hurt the players. I see it's a subconscious injury that a lot of coaches do to these players, and they don't even realize it because they themselves are hurt.
What's the best advice that coaches can give to their players to better cope with their environment?
First of all, many coaches think it's about X's and O's. It's about humanity. There's nothing worse than your player playing for you and thinking that you didn't care about them. You see, if I could do it again, I would trade all the macho bravado that I had, the fear that players had for me, for the ability for them to feel that they can come to me about everything. That's one of the greatest mistakes I made as a coach, was to put that macho bravado forward. And in that macho bravado, we missed a lot. We missed a lot. A lot of players that had deep-seated hurt never spoke about it because we pushed that narrative to fight through the pain. We pushed the narrative that suck it up, be a man. And what happens is we create angry men, hurt men that have hurt families. We've got to change that, and we've got to reverse the curse.
Reversing the curse. How can we create spaces within camp or, the daily happenings of practice in the season that can help, the students?
It's about creating safe spaces, right? So people feel safe where they can trust. If you build a team of mistrust, okay, if you build a team of not keeping your word, what tends to happen is that people don't see it as a safe place. If you don't create safe places, people don't feel safe. If people don't feel safe, they can't heal. If people can't heal, they remain in hurtdom. If people remain in hurtdom, eventually that vicarious trauma builds up into positions and places that they can't recover from. And that's where you're seeing the rise in a lot of our athletes committing suicide, taking their lives, not just collegiate athletes, professional athletes, when they no longer are in the lights, when their name is no longer called on the intercom. This is what's taking.
You said a word, a key word. What's vicarious trauma?
Vicarious trauma, if you think about it, are the different layers that are upon us. So our early childhood trauma, right? Our ACE, okay? Everything that happens to you in life, there's a layer and a film that is upon you. And as those layers continue to be upon you, if you don't reverse it, then you're only building on it. And then if you continue to build on it, it's the further and further you get away from reality. You know, on a personal note, when I lost my mom in 2015, I was a head college football coach. And I never took the time to grieve. As a matter of fact, after her funeral, I came right back to a recruiting weekend, our biggest recruiting weekend. And I had to smile and I had to greet parents as though I didn't feel pain, as though I didn't have a problem. The problem with that is that for 4 years, I had to deal with that trauma. For 4 years, I had to deal with that pain. I was hurting people by my own hurt. I was ruining relationships by my own fact that the vicarious trauma was built up in my life. Now, Brother Peterson, I want you to get this, because now I'm going to give you the X factor. Here's the X factor. We're dealing with historically Black colleges and universities. Our financial positioning in higher ed is already a traumatic piece. The longer lines, the delayed refund check that your mom may need, you know, all those different things that you have to deal with is trauma by itself. When you couple that with your own vicarious trauma, and then the coup de grace and the trilogy to it all is the epigenical trauma that all people of color carry, the trauma of our ancestors, the trauma of the pain in this democratic society. When you put all those things together, we need to heal. We're all sick. And I think that's the problem. We all come from a lens where we think that we don't need to heal. We think that we're fine, but we really are sick. We need help. And if we don't get help, we're going to suffer.
How can you reverse the trauma that's happened?
You got to realize you're sick. The moment that I just said we're all sick, I looked at the look in your face. When you think that you're healthy, you feel like you won't catch a cold, right?
Yeah.
But the first time you have a sniffle, the first thing in your mind, you say, oh, I'm getting ready to catch a cold. Understand this, is that 2/3 of any process is your mindset. We deal with a situation that you must reverse your mindset. First of all, you got to reverse your mindset and free yourself. You have to emancipate yourself. Most people live a life that is secluded and live a life that they're locked up within their own mindset. And the first thing you have to do is emancipate yourself. The second thing you have to do is empower yourself. And the third thing you have to do is embrace yourself. You have to love yourself. Man, most people don't love themselves. They say, oh, I love me. But they really don't. They judge themselves. They don't love themselves. Look how hard people are on themselves. You know, they look in the mirror and they see lines where they don't want to see lines. They go to the gym and they're working out the whole time in the mirror. Think about that. Think about that. You gotta love yourself. Because I always say this thing, and I'm gonna be honest with you. You can't force somebody to love you. But you can love yourself. That's how you reverse it.
Mentally, constricted, you have a saying or phrase, mind over matter. Can you speak towards that? I think you touched on it.
Yeah. Shout
Mind
out.
over matter. Mind
Shout
over
out.
matter.
Shout out
Elevated image.
to Elevated Image. I'm giving that love right now. They got it taken care of. You know what I mean? They got it taken care of. Look, man, when your mind is elevated, nothing else matters. When your mind is elevated, nothing else matters. Listen, man, I'm in a place where the last time I was here, I was a coach. Even right now, they don't know how to take me. They're looking at me like, what is he doing? Like, is he coming back here to coach? What are you doing? When you are secure in your mind, don't nothing else matter, man. I'm getting ready to bring the funk here today. You understand what I'm saying? And it doesn't even matter. I'm going to win over the students that are just coming in, that their mind is on hanging out tonight. I'm going to go in there because I'm going to go in there with the power. The coach is going to come in with a little apprehension. They're going to be on the phone. What is he doing? But I'm going to hit on some key points with them. So here's the deal. When your mind is right, nothing matters. So we go mind. Oh, he's done all over the world. Every 5 years I've done it. Except Australia. Every other continent, so Australia, Antarctica, we've done mind over matter. And we do that because we believe in the strength of the mind and the power of the mind.
You spoke towards your pivot from coaching to keynote speaker to mentor to, being an impactful powerhouse in the community. How important is it for these student athletes to have a pivot?
Brother Peterson, I'm going to tell you something. Most people don't care. Most people don't care about community. You want me to prove it? A professional athlete signs his check, signs 2 checks, signs 3 checks. And the same community center that saved his life when there were bullets passing outside, that he could go and shoot layups, he could shoot free throws. Looks the same. Mm-hmm. The house that you grew up in looks the same. The way that you got to get people to care is by going through young people. Once you get to be about 30 to 40, your mind is already set. Young people are the people that have been used in every revolution in this world. Do you understand that? That is why I've given my life 32 years of working with young people, because nothing else matters. The change happens when you use young people, when you empower young people, when you motivate young people. That is when the change happens. The youth, people your age, are the people that change the community. The only thing I could do with my organization is sustain them. And I'm going to tell you, when I go into the communities and do my work, when I give away, we're giving away 1,000 books next month. When we do 1,000 Black Author books, when we do those things, they're all great. But if we can't get the young people to do it, we don't have a cycle of hope.
If it starts with the young people, I'm starting to notice there seems to be a divide between generations, a divide between the older and younger, or however you want to dice it. What contributes to that, and how can we fix it?
Old versus young is not new. It's Willie Lynch's. Willie Lynch on the banks of Jamaica said how to control the slave. See, colonialism reversed the strength from being Black, being African. If you go to Africa, which you have, you notice that the strength and wisdom is in the lineage. How people speak about their great-great-great-great-grandfather, great-great-great-great-grandmother. Every place that Black blood has been, whether it's in the Pan-African diaspora, wherever it has been, you notice that as we come further to the West, it becomes diluted. The importance of the older ones, the wiser ones, it becomes diluted. The most blended cultural we become, well, the more American we become, it becomes diluted. So old versus young is not new. The problem is, and I'm gonna look right in the camera and say the problem is that your generation, the generation before you, their kids are being raised by an iPad and a video game. They believe that if you press reset on that computer, that they can reset their life. That's why life is meaningless to a lot of our young people. That is why suicide is higher right now than it was in the late 80s, early 90s. We're putting an iPad in front of our child at 2 years old and think that that's raising them so that we can be on the computer, so that we could be on Facebook, we can be on TikTok, we could be on Instagram. And we're forgetting the common components that made us great. The common components that made Black and brown people in this diaspora great is the relationship with their elders. One of the greatest strengths of revolutions that have ever happened on this side of the world was the Haitian Revolution, was the strength of the Haitian Revolution. But now if you go to Haiti, Dominican Republic, same island, Haitians are seen less than. So it's not only our ancestry, it's our history. How much do young people want to know our history? When a guy like me talks, how much do young people your age, really want to listen to it? Really want to listen to me talk about Du Bois? Really want to listen to me talk about Marcus Garvey? Really want to listen to me talk about the ingenuity of a Booker T. Washington? Do they? Or do they want to hear me talk about T.I.? Do they want to hear me talk about Chris Brown? Do they want to hear me talk about the things, where LeBron James is getting ready to go? Who's a billionaire? Where Memphis next to? We don't have conversations that matter, but we want people to take us serious. Why would a country that the only reason why your thing is based on a signature and policy ever take you serious if you don't demand? We asked for food and we never demanded it. The voting rights, policies, and acts that we've got in this country helped us to vote, but never changed the money in our pockets. Never changed how much I made per hour. So therefore, with every law, with every thing that was passed, it was something to make sure we never got to true equality. True equality is an abolition of our mind. I'm writing a book that's called Don't File with Spilled Milk. And what it's about is that. It's that we gotta be more than just what we ask for. We gotta demand it. But not demand it from them, the ones that set the system. Demand it from the ones that look like you. Think about how we're used to saying old versus young. Why are we not connected and networking with our Spanish brothers? Why are we not networking with our Asian brothers? Why does the average Indian brother dislike people of brown color? Those are the things that we gotta ask. Over 1.5 million Indians who were killed by the Europeans, specifically England, right? Our Asian brothers have been characterized through the world as just people that own laundry, Chinese restaurants, right? But now China has become a world power, right? What about us? Our Spanish brothers and sisters come to this country and nobody had a problem when they were the ones fixing your house and doing that. But now when they became the ones that own the construction companies, now here comes immigration, okay? Now here comes all ICE, all of this stuff. So we gotta ask ourselves the question, what happens is they divide each groups and we become the global crabs in the bucket. And we're all trying to find our way. The difference between all those groups, they all have something to lean on. Spanish people have something to lean on. Asian people have something to lean on. Indian people have something to lean on. What do you lean on as an African American? What legacy do you lean on? The only thing you got in school for Black History Month was the I Have a Dream speech that wasn't written by him. Seeing the German Shepherd dogs pull apart our young people. And then after that, all the way up George Floyd, all these different things that have continued to happen. So we got to start being wise. We got to start being overthinkers, not underthinkers.
How do you blot out the misinformation that is plaguing our communities? Social media, broad terms.
Here's the thing. The question that we should ask is, what goes viral? Why does it go viral?
Nonsense, I'm like, no.
A Black man puts on a dress and makes jokes and goes viral. A heavyset brother goes on, takes his shirts off, his shirt off, and starts shaking. It goes viral. A Black brother kicking the truth about survival of being blank or brown. A Spanish brother kicking the truth about being in the barrio. And it's got 60 views. We make popular what we want to be popular. The truth has never been popular. It's never been popular. So when we speak about Black folks in this country, we're satisfied with being entertainers. We're satisfied with being jesters in the court while the king sits on the throne and watches. We're satisfied. We're satisfied.
Where do we reverse the complacency? How do we tell our kids that they're more than athletes, that they're more than what's depicted on TV as far as what their culture is?
Give me liberty or give me liberty. There's a famous motivational speaker that says you gotta want to be successful more than you want to be. Why don't you want freedom greater than you want to breathe? What good is life in bondage? What good is a man with a 50-year sentence in prison? What good is the slave with no sign of freedom? You got to make choices. Liberation does not happen by accident. Liberation happens by forced perpetuation of movement. You can't be afraid. See, that is the thing that white people have over us. They're not afraid. They're not afraid. We are afraid. We are afraid. That's what we got to reverse. If you're scared, say you're scared. We are scared. Think about it. Every election, they asking Black people to come out and vote. When people died to be able to vote, they're scared. We're scared.
That ties into the trauma.
Yeah.
Passed on by generation.
This is Dr. James again from the Third Rail Podcast. Again, we're excited to be here. We are going to take a deep dive while others are planning play scripts and getting ready to break down film for count. What we're trying to do is say, we got to break down film for life. We want you to think about the mental capacity of your players coming back to your campus. How many of these players have levels of trauma that they have to play through? We're going to be speaking to the coaches that are losing their families in the name of a win. See, if every goal is to be 1-0 every day, we can't be 1-0 and come empty with an empty cup. Here's the reality about athletics. And if I'm talking about the CIAA, there's 12 teams. Only one team will win the championship. Only one team will have the opportunity to lose the championship. There's only 2 teams with hope. That means if you're the other 10 teams, can you put in all that work and say that it's nothing if you lose? So that defines the theory of winning and losing. Winning and losing is every day. Being on and know every day. I'm getting ready to get these coaches into a mindset that you can't win a championship and put a trophy in a glass case. And your players are dying. Your players are suffering. I chased the championship, but missed a lot. I'm here to correct that. This is the third rail. You see Dr. Mark James here for you, where truth and power collide. Peace.
From the heights to the west coast, all this fake recognition gets old.